This past weekend was the 75th anniversary of a powerful Atlantic hurricane that took an unusual track and literally changed the landscape of the East Coast while delivering a glancing blow to Pennsylvania. Now, prior to 2005, the year with the most Atlantic tropical storms and hurricanes was 1933 with 21. This was before storms were formally named, but significant ones got nicknames, and the 8th storm that year became known as the Chesapeake-Potomac Hurricane. On August 22, 1933, the hurricane was between Bermuda and the East Coast and headed west, pretty far north for a tropical system to still be moving toward the coast. Now, part of the reason was a blocking high farther north, which also helped increase the winds and the waves along the coast. The hurricane made landfall on the Outer Banks of North Carolina on the 23rd and curved just to the west of Chesapeake Bay, a track that allowed southerly winds to build a tidal surge up the bay and the Potomac River. Winds did gust to hurricane force at Norfolk, but flooding was the worst part of the storm, especially on the west side of the bay and on the Potomac, where water rose 12 feet above normal low tide at Alexandria, Virginia, just south of downtown Washington. At the Jersey Shore, 60% of Atlantic City was flooded, while water backed up on Delaware Bay, flooding 10 square miles of southwest Philadelphia, near where the airport is today. Rain was the big story in the rest of Pennsylvania. Most of the eastern part of the state got 6 inches or more. Almost 14 inches fell in York, 8.5 in just 24 hours. Flooding was worst on the Schuylkill River, with the 5th highest crest on record at Pottstown, 3rd highest crest on record at Norristown and Philadelphia, where the crest was even higher than the crest during Hurricane Agnes. But probably the most lasting impression left by this hurricane was at the popular vacation resort of Ocean City, Maryland. Now, here's an aerial view of that part of the coast today. Ocean City sits at the southern end of Fenwick Island, with an inlet separating the island from Chesapeake Island, which is most famous for its pristine beaches and wild horses. But if we go back in time before the 1933 hurricane, there was no inlet, just one continuous barrier island. The 1933 storm actually created the inlet by carving out a swath in the land. Ocean City officials liked the idea of having a route from the ocean to the bay, so they built jetties to keep the inlet open. But those jetties stopped the natural transport of sand that built Chesapeake Island in the first place. So since then, the island has been slowly moving westward toward the mainland at a few tens of feet per year, at the mercy of the pounding surf. The modern-day equivalent to the Chesapeake-Potomac Hurricane was Isabel 5 years ago, which created a new inlet on Hatteras Island, flooded parts of Chesapeake Bay, and brought tropical storm force winds to Pennsylvania. The tropics are certainly alive right now. Fred's up next with some insight into any tropical threats over Labor Day weekend.